I'll admit, this is weird. I'm not talking about construction for once up here. So like, it's like a whole different topic.
All right, welcome everyone. This is a public meeting of the West Bend School District and School Board Curriculum Committee. It is 4:30 p.m. on September 30th of 2025. We will start with introductions. My name is Melanie Ehrgott, School Board Member.
June Kruger, School Board Member.
Kelly Lang, School Board Member.
Kelly Downs, Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
Adrienne Schneider, Program Administrator.
Tina Vanru, District Data and Assessment Coordinator.
All right, so the first item up for discussion today is the career and technical education updates, and that will be presented by Mr. Tim Harder.
All right, good evening, committee members. As is normal in our course sequence changes in career and tech ed, every fall we bring forth a variety of changes to our courses based upon the style of courses that we're teaching related to work-based learning skills and our tight tie to higher education, specifically Moraine Park Technical College. Our curriculum will change, and some of the resources that we use on a different cycle than a traditional curriculum cycle that you may see. Our curriculum cycle includes many of those same aspects. However, we also work with our advisory committees, so each one of our quote, pathways or programs of study has an advisory group of businesses that we work with, and then we have one large advisory committee that helps us when we are talking about large-scale changes within career and tech ed. We talk about things like work-based learning changes in our youth apprenticeship programs, life-ready skills, and so forth as we go forward. So out of the collection of the last year, this evening you'll see some presented changes to the committee, and if we're good with it here, we would then bring it forth to the full board across 3 different areas in business and IT, tech ed, and also in family consumer science. Some of them will be smaller, minor changes. Some of those will be a little different, larger change at that point. So the first set of courses with changes that are some small changes related to our technology and engineering course sequence. And so when we talk about programs of study or pathways, we are not just in good practice, but also required by the state and federal government to create multiple tiered pathways. So I don't come in and take a metals class and then there's nothing for me to go to in a metals 2 or welding or digital media or graphics. And so often there's a base set of skills that we are seeing to come into those advanced level classes. What you're seeing here is based upon some curricular changes over the last few years is a change in the course prerequisites for our advanced classes in Welding 2. And also for the yearbook. So in Welding 2, we would add a basic metals course as a prerequisite or as a concurrent class. Those skills on the aspects of metal forming and shaping carry over into that advanced welding class, that it sets our students up much better when they earn their technical college credit in Welding 2. And for yearbook, the software and the basic design skills that we're using in yearbook, without them coming from a class like Graphics 1 or Photo, Video, and Animation, it's really hard for that student sometimes to step in and then earn those technical college credit pieces and be successful. And so we have 2 prerequisites that would be added to those courses at that point in time. The other feedback from our tech ed team and some of their business partners is as we offer our capstone courses or our last courses in our sequence, as those kids start to figure out their career pathways, sometimes that narrows down the pool of kids that you're pulling from. And like many other classes, it's the same pool of kids, right? Often I can tell you the kids you're going to see in engineering are also in a manufacturing program or an automotive program. Kids that you see in a digital media program are typically in the graphics program. And so the team would like to move to an every other year option of offering our 2 capstone courses or higher level courses, where we would run engineering, design, and development. Short name is known as EDD to the team, starting in the fall of 26-27, and then the next year we would run TC automation and then flip-flop back and forth as we go forward. Often the same kids are signing up for both classes, or a small pocket here and a small pocket here, and we have trouble sometimes running the class, or we're trying to run 2 classes concurrently at the same time, which does not always work with lab space and staffing. So any questions about those recommended changes this evening?
Just that any, like sophomore, junior, senior can take this, or is it junior, senior that they would not miss either one of
Nope,
those?
so what we did is we matched, we actually did not run. This year, we did not have enough students to run EDD, so we already, in essence, started that sequence this year. And looking back at past enrollment, we end up with both at that point in time. If we don't break that cycle, we're gonna end up with years where we may not run either of them, so we wanna make sure we're keeping that opportunity, and we've done this across the board in a variety of content areas, not just CTE. All right. The second change is a course addition to the course catalog. So many of our students that go on to post-secondary in the technical college realm end up going to Moraine Park Technical College, either here in West Bend, Beaver Dam, or the Fond du Lac campus. Moraine Park requires their students who graduate college to take a College 101 class. In a nutshell, it is a course that is designed to set you up for success through college, and at specifically Moraine Park. But it doesn't just talk about the resources you'll see in the course description of how to use their learning management system, which is the same one that we use, in a variety of different things. There's workplace readiness skills, there's life skills, there's this how to be successful in the technical college realm. Many of our students take this currently through Start College Now already. School districts who have brought this in-house by offering it in by their own teachers, have created a spot where they have a local teacher to go to versus a virtual teacher who is online. And they also then have the ability to take the class much more easily than trying to schedule it in through Start College Now. We're also at a breaking point where paying Moraine Park actually can cost us more than having one of our own staff run a section here at that point in time. So we've been studying a couple other schools who have done this in the area, and the feedback is that it's very successful. And so we would look at adding this and increasing the number of students who take this. By putting it on our books, students see it, where if it's a Start College Now course, sometimes it's an afterthought. Like, now I'm a senior and I figured out I'm going to Moraine Park next year. Oh, and I've already missed the deadline October 1st for my Start College Now. This is something we would encourage any kid who has that interest in Moraine Park to take that course, but certainly any child who's looking at going on to post-secondary education about how to be successful at that next level. So when you look at it, the course would be offered as a semester high school course where our students would earn 0.5 elective credits, which then also equates to them starting their technical college credits at 2 credits in the Moraine Park system. And then this is the course description that Moraine Park provides for that course. Any questions that I can answer for that? Jim?
I have a technical question.
Yeah.
So, and I might be making some assumptions, but
Yep.
don't the students on their Chromebook have, they're like isolated to what sites they can go to? Okay. So if they take this class, then they would have to somehow access the Moraine Park websites?
Yep, so we do
Okay.
some of that already, and/or because we use the same learning management system, we will copy their course right into our course. So we do that already. So for example, we offer TC Graphics 2. We take that course, which might be Adobe InDesign at the technical college level, we get that curriculum, we actually import it directly into ours here. Very similar to how we work when kids go take Start College Now. If a kid gets blocked by something, we manage all those pieces. The bonus here is we bring it in-house and they have somebody who can connect it, and we can offer it either virtually or face-to-face or in a hybrid model, depending upon how we want to do that, but they would have a dedicated teacher who is teaching their section here at that point in time. All right, so this is a continuation of work that we've been working on over the next couple of years, or the last couple of years, where Moraine Park has changed some different pieces, and after they finalize their pieces, we want to settle on a semester-long TC Business Strategies course. So one of the things Moraine Park is working towards is how do you name your courses similar and make them similar to theirs when, for example, what is a capstone course for us might be their intro course. And so this is an area that we've been multiple years studying our business pathways, accounting, you saw changes last year, marketing and so forth. After Moraine Park finished up some of their curriculum changes, we found a way to offer students an opportunity to take additional TC credits by taking this year-long course and embedding that in a semester course. So students will still be able to take their 3 credits, and then some of those other pockets of information were already being taught in other courses. So in essence, we would take the TC Entrepreneurial Strategies course, which is a year-long course, and move it to a semester and rename it to TC Business Strategies. Our students would still earn 3 college credits for that course. And the tenet of many of our business and marketing program classes is that entrepreneurship experience exists through all of them, all the way down to our 7th and 8th grade programming. That's really the tenet of small business and growing that business piece in terms of what that looks like. So we would move from a year-long course to a semester course, offering the opportunity in a semester for kids to take additional technical college courses or additional electives within their schedule at that point in time. All right. The next change that we have here would be something that we would look at the class of 2030. And I know Ms. Krieger is part of our business advisory group. This is something we've been looking at over the years, is the success of our students who take personal finance. So personal finance is a required class for all students to graduate high school in the state of Wisconsin. West Bend had this long prior before that requirement was in place. Based upon the experiences, the content, and where our students are doing well, and then things like we have a reality day where our students experience a variety of different real life experiences related to their life, from buying insurance, your car dying, all those different types of things. We have found over the last few years that grade 10, our students are not as successful in understanding the content and applying that. So looking at some other schools, looking at the feedback from both our staff, our business advisory group, with the class of 2030, as they come in next year, we would move that class to an 11th and 12th grade class instead of a 10th through 12th grade class to help those students be better prepared. The content stays the same. All of the learning experiences, we offer it virtual, we offer it face-to-face, all of that stays the same. Our students would just be better prepared to take that content at that point in time. And so that's something we've been working on our advisory committee for a while. All right. The last item that I have for you this evening is, as many of you know who have been around in the district, we have a phenomenal culinary program here. It ends in a capstone course that runs our student-run restaurant at the high school. I'm waiting for it to open up, so I have my weekly meal up at the Nifty Nibble, and a variety of things. I'm sure hoping they keep the Oreo tort, those types of things. And really, it's meant so that our students can walk out of here, be successful at the next level in the culinary arts program as a manager, as a chef, and so forth. And that next level could be going direct to work through work-based learning. That could be going to Moraine Park. That could be going to a specialty school, a variety of those. We run a curriculum here called ProStart, which is a nationwide curriculum. It is kind of the leader in this. It matches really well with Moraine Park's curriculum. We currently utilize their level 1 and level 2 textbooks. It has been a few years since they have updated their textbooks, and so they have finally released the 3rd version of this. This curriculum allows us not to just offer a curriculum here. It also does not just match with Moraine Park's curriculum. It also allows our students to leave certified. And so our students can leave certified as a ProStart certification, which means they have concepts and understanding in managing a restaurant, both front of house, back of house, everything from having to order, planning meals, running and working with staff, making sure that customer service is taken care of. So those are through that Act 59 certification where the districts receives funding to offer those certifications with that. What we are looking at is we are looking at updating to that 3rd edition of the ProStart curriculum. On the page here, you can see the copy of the 2 textbooks here. It's a level 1 and a level 2. I've included a link to the changes in the curriculum, which is minor. It's more about the experience that the students see and so forth. We will work to put out to our community. If they have questions, they can certainly come in and view the materials. But it is the same resource, just updated to the newest version at that point in time. We do not assign individual textbooks across the board. It's a classroom set type of a situation here. So as you can see here, the approximate cost to change out to the 3rd edition, and we would do this over the course of this year if approved, would be just high of $8,000. And we would fund that through 2 different avenues, our CTE curriculum budget through our Fund 10 here, and then I mentioned that CTE incentive funding that we utilize to support our CTE programs here in the district. So we would use the combination of those funds at that point in time. Any questions on that resource change? All right. So then just for our community, I just have the summary of the proposed changes. Our next steps would be to bring this to the board for discussion and then approval, where we would do individual approvals for each item when we get to that 2nd board meeting at that point in time.
right. Thank you for your presentation. Does anybody have any additional questions or comments? No? All right, thanks so much, Tim. And I believe you will be also joining us for our next agenda item.
I am.
Which
I'm also going to invite Pam Mum to the podium with me.
Okay.
Pam is our library media coordinator, and many of you may have not met her. Pam is on her second year with us here. So she's been working with me. And so what we have this evening for you is a district library plan to be presented. A district library plan is something that is required by the state, so they've gone back to that requirement. It also has changed immensely from years ago when they had library plans. This library plan, and Pam will talk about this, uses a future-ready framework. It's something that we use in our own technology plan here. It's a set of gears and a wheel with different pie slices that talk about your different areas of focus as you develop your plan. Your library plan's purpose is really that overarching of what are we going to do for the next 3 years in our library. For us, Pam shy every time we talk about this, it's a lot of moving of some books and redoing a whole lot of changes in our collections and then looking at our curriculum because, as we know, we are reconfiguring across the district. And so you'll see some of that Pam has worked into this plan here. What happens with this plan after we go through the process, we do file it with the state, which is a requirement for that. And this is linked to library funding in the state of Wisconsin. So there are 2 funding sources you'll see in the plan for libraries. The majority of library funding comes through what's called common school funds. And common school funds are dedicated dollars by the state of Wisconsin to support school libraries. And the sole purpose of that is about collection, both print and digital and resources within that library. This plan allows us to do that. Then there are aspects that common school funds does not cover. It is pure supplies. It is things like furniture. It is all those other things that aren't about collection and online resources and so forth. And so that you will see in here. But the focus of this plan, and I'll let Pam go a little more detailed in it, is a little bit of this idea of, hey, we've got this big, what feels like a monstrosity sometimes when we talk about the number of books that we have to move around and redo some collections and combines collections, and we're having the same conversations with curriculum and all those pieces, which seems like a lot, but that'll be our focus over the next 3 years. And then really redefining what our library classes are and so forth as technology changes, the resources change. And we've gone through a couple different iterations of who teaches what. We are very blessed with a phenomenal group of library staff, our library aides at every single building who manage our day-to-day of our libraries and work under the direction of Pam. This will help guide the work that we're going to do over the next 3 years, led by Pam. So I will turn it over to Pam to go through the plan, and it's all yours.
Thanks. It's good to meet you. So I'm Pam Mum. I'm our library coordinator for the district. This plan I started last year about this time as I just jumped right into our district libraries. I did use the Future Ready framework, as Tim had said. And the Future Ready framework is simply a strategic guide. Oh, thanks, Tim. It's a strategic guide that helps school librarians align our programs with the broader goals of education, focusing on student-centered learning and literacy. And you can see like the key components of the framework. And I use this framework to try to determine our priority areas for this plan. So, of course, everything is learner-centered with literacy. Can you go up? Sorry. I could also drive. It's okay. It's okay. So curriculum, instruction, and assessment should be part of our library program, as is personalized professional learning, robust infrastructure, budget and resources, community partnerships, data and privacy, collaborative leadership, and use of space and time. So I took a look at our program through the lens of each of those pieces to help us determine our goals. Just to give you a little overview, I know Tim already did, of our school library. So we have 8 school libraries in our district. Those are staffed by 13 part-time amazing library aides. And we have also 1 shared library/technology assistant who works with us as well. And then I am our only full-time library person and our only certified librarian in the district. We have classes at the K-4 levels. So in our elementary buildings, our aides teach 30-minute classes every week. In our 5, 6, and 7, 8 buildings, our aides facilitate classes in conjunction with the teachers, and those are like every other week, but students have access to the library at least weekly to come in to do book checkout and exchange. And then at the high school, we don't have any library classes, but many students and staff and classes come in to use the library, the spaces in the library, as well as the collections in the library. We manage about 169,000 library items, and we also help manage and support about 171,000 curriculum items. So we've got a lot of moving pieces in our buildings. Like Tim said, some of our huge strengths are, like, by far, our passionate library staff. We have amazing library aides in our buildings. And I also really think a strength is that we have dedicated library time through 8th grade. Like, that's huge to be able to get kids into the library. And then I think, too, another important strength is that we have a robust infrastructure. As I was analyzing our program through the lens of the Future Ready Library Framework, a couple of areas for growth that we noticed, and especially with the referendum passing last year, is really establishing a practice of collection updates. We already have moving pieces as we are closing schools, as we're reconfiguring schools, as we're adding grades to schools. So our collections need to match that. So our first goal in the plan is to strengthen our collection development practices, especially in regards to those moving pieces with the building reconfigurations. And then, let me speak a little bit more about that. One aspect of collection development is, like, when do we get new books in, and what are we doing with the old books? There hadn't necessarily been an established practice, so Tim and I have been working on that already, but we really want to solidify, like, having a more regular ordering process and a weeding process as well. We have both physical and digital spaces to maintain, so this first goal speaks to both of those, not just the physical spaces, but how are those digital spaces reflecting the work that we're doing in our libraries and helping support staff and students having access to our library resources. Some of the small ways that we can accomplish goal 1 will be through, like, better wayfinding signage too. So, like, when students are in the collections, can they find what they need? Also making sure our displays are relevant and changing. And then that kind of gets us into goal 2, which has to do with our goal 2 is really about creating, like, the meat of the library program. What are students doing in library K-12? Establishing an updated scope and sequence for those library classes, as well as what are ways that we are enriching our students at the high school level. I want to be very intentional about that, and I want to make sure it matches with what we're doing in the rest of our district. So, for example, we've adopted CKLA at elementary, so how is our library supporting that curriculum? And so goal 2 really digs into how our libraries are teaching our students and how our libraries are supporting the work that our teachers are doing. Having this reconfiguration is a really great opportunity, since we will have 5th grade at elementary, 6th grade at middle. And so the timing works really well. It's a huge project, a big undertaking, but I think the timing works really well. It also gives us an opportunity to dig into the library standards. A lot of people don't know, but we do have standards for the library program. There are several different places to get standards. Our Wisconsin standards are currently undergoing a revision, hopefully having a new draft out later this spring. So goal 2 gives really me and our team an opportunity to dig into what are our priority standards going forward, and then how are we going to better meet those standards for all of our learners. It will also give us an opportunity to really make sure our learners at one building, at one site, if they're at one elementary, they're getting a very similar library experience across the district. So trying to have a little bit more of a uniformed experience and more intentional programming is really, like, the meat of goal 2. I did include a timeline on here, just with some of the highlights of what I'm planning on doing with our teams over the next couple of years. And as we're going throughout this process, we'll probably come back and share all of the progress that we're making, and as well as like having your approval of our new library curriculum.
So that's the quick overview of the next 3
I don't know if that was
years.
quick.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I took long on my first one, that's all right. So it's a large undertaking. So I've been involved with libraries here for a few years. As I've been involved, there's a lot that changes in a collection, and we've not always had some of those processes. So Kim, our current our librarian before Pam started us on all that journey, we're really picking up those pieces, and it's an opportune time with these grade reconfigurations to make sure we've all said it, the phrase education by zip code, that if I go to this elementary school or I go to this elementary school, I should have the same types of experiences. That's what we really want in our library programs. And libraries are very different. I mean, when I went to the high school library, it was sit down, be quiet, don't say a word, and if you want to use the computer, the librarian typed in items into the computer for you. And so there's a ton of different resources that are available to our students. But we look forward to keeping the board updated and the committee, and then coming back with our new scope and sequence for approval on the curriculum side of the library program. So we'll entertain any questions.
Okay, I have some questions. So this is a huge job, and I wish you well on figuring this all out and sorting it all out, because I know it's a huge project. But it seemed also like a good time to kind of talk about how, as the curriculum committee had kind of gone through so much with the book clubs and things like that nature, as the books are being separated and shuffled around to different buildings, I hope that we would be able to kind of take some of the information we've already gathered from a lot of the books that have already kind of been vetted, and maybe make sure those are being moved into the proper school with the right age range, that the board had kind of went through. 'Cause I know libraries have a totally different rules and everything compared to curriculum, but
But I
just
think, Melanie, that's a
something
good
to
question.
consider.
So for this group and for our community who may be watching, we go through a process of reviewing those new materials that come in. We will employ the same material as we move, or the same processes as we move materials between there. And in some cases, there may be some things that shift, but we would go through that same exact review process for those materials. Just because it's for the 5th grade curriculum today does not necessarily mean, A, that it supports the new curriculum we're doing, or it's appropriate in an elementary library. And so that's why we have not only our local policies, but you have your standards, you have your pieces from the state of Wisconsin and AASL, the national organization that help with that. And so we have a really good process for the new stuff coming in. We would utilize that same process as we go through and shift. As we go through this, we've already started the conversations of, we're already peaking at different collections. I mean, the reality is we're talking about 5th graders being at our elementaries next year. As somebody threw out the number of days the other day, and it gave me a little bit of a heart palpitation.
Yeah.
We're having those conversations now of, what would this look like if we almost started over? It's our one shot to do this over the next 3 years, and I think that's the appropriate way to handle that one.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, anybody else have any questions or comments? Nope. All right,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much for your presentation. All right, the next item up for discussion is the recommendation to change prerequisites for general music theory and honors music theory. And is that Kelly Downs? You'll be presenting that. Thank you.
Yes, I am presenting this, but I want to acknowledge Corey Murphy is here in the room, and he is the one who brought this forth. So if you have any more in-depth questions, he will definitely be the person to answer those questions for you. So this is really just a change of prerequisites for a course. So it's proposing that we change the prerequisites to include 9th and 10th graders for the enrollment in the honors music theory, because that will also help populate the higher level courses and give kids more opportunity to participate in those courses. So the change is really just in who can participate. I believe right now it's open to juniors and seniors. Am I saying that appropriately? And we'd like to expand that to 9th and 10th grade students. Do you have anything to add, Corey?
I just wanted to clarify one thing. Honors is the continuation course. So general music theory is the change being presented. It's just opening it up to freshmen and sophomores as well.
All right, thank you. So it sounds like it's a pretty simple change, right? But just checking the boxes to bring it before the curriculum. Thank you. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments about that? No? All right, thank you so much for being here. All right, well, it looks like we have reached the end of our agenda here. And if there are no further questions, then I'll go ahead and close the meeting. It is 4:59. Thank you.